Access more.
There's a pant shortage going on.
This will become pants one day.
That'll be the when this little water bottle grows up.
Yeah. You too can be a big pair of pants water bottle.
Annie F. Downs.
Friends,
Annie.
this is such a joy. I just wish we were in the same room, but this is close enough for today.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
a
gosh.
good second option.
Yes.
But it would be best to be in person. But this is
I'm
great.
just so glad to see
You
you.
look so beautiful today.
Thank you.
Velvet.
It is cheaper than you think it is. It's
Velvety.
not velvet. It just is that
Oh.
sweater
It's that
that's
acrylic.
not nice.
Is it real stretchy? Could you like?
It's made of plastic or something. I don't know. I wish I could be like recycled water bottles, but that's not true.
It's
That's funny.
It's highly flammable.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I'm not turning on any candles today. No way.
What a funny thing that we live in a time when you could almost with pride say, my sweater's made out of recycled water bottles.
Right. Right. Because that would be cool. I have I have a real hot take on single-use plastic. I'm not a huge fan of it. And so I do like the idea of wearing things made of plastic, but then that feels a little Jetson-y, doesn't it? Like we're the Jetsons.
Yeah.
Yes. I just saw you
actually,
drink out of an enormous, what seemed to be 64-ounce water bottle. That is.
I wish. I think it's 40.
How many times do you drink that in a day?
Well, Levi Lusko, thank you for asking. You will notice what the audience may only be hearing is that there's rubber bands attached to the water bottle because I try to drink 3 of these a day, but I can't keep count. And so I move the rubber bands from the lid to dangle off the side when I've done that water bottle. So I'm on my second one. There's one more to go.
Oh, you need to get a made for.
Wow.
Have you seen the made for one?
No, tell me
that
everything.
Blake McCoskey did.
Ooh.
It has
Yes, I do like
It
Blake.
has
And yes, tell me
the
though.
string with the beads and the string's
Nice.
waxed and it's got beads. I should grab it. It's
Is
in
it
the
over
other
there?
room.
I'll get it.
Yeah, go grab it. Oh, Mackenzie's going to get
Jenny,
it.
we're
What am I
recording a podcast. You can't just get
thinking? Jenny, you can't
You're
run
right.
away.
I'll be right back. Don't
This
worry,
is
guys.
so real friendship,
It's in
everyone.
my
Jenny's like, let me
backpack
just
right
look at
there,
it.
No, so it's this new company he started after
Yeah.
no longer being involved at Tom's. And every time you
Yes.
drink it, you move a bead up. And
Oh,
then
that's
by the end of
exactly
the
what I
day,
need.
you know how many beads. But you improvised your own elegant solution.
Rubber
Elegant
band.
is a sweet thing to say. I grabbed a rubber bands. And Blake, as usual, has come up with a good idea and made it very suave.
And then by the
Yeah.
end of the day, you hopefully get to yellow. That's kind of your
Yeah.
big thing.
Have you
What
been
I
using
like-
it?
Oh, I love this water bottle.
I won't show
Why?
you mine. Maybe I
Wait,
will.
y'all both?
Whoa.
Oh, single-use
Sup?
plastic.
What's up, girl?
But this will become pants one day. So,
That's right. I will
You know
wear
what?
that water bottle
We
in the
don't
very-
want there's a pant shortage going
This will
on.
become pants one day.
That'll be the when this little water bottle grows up.
Yeah. You
That's
too can be a big pair of pants water bottle.
That's
Actually,
the new
what are
movement.
we
When we do such a good job of being eco-friendly, then it's like, stop it, stop drinking out of that glass. There's a pant shortage.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I only drink out of plastic because there's a pant shortage.
Because I've
Do you
got to get some
care?
new.
my gosh. No, there's this brand called
Tiki.
Tiki that they're like yoga. It's yoga
Yeah.
wear, so it's like
They're-
stretchy.
It's quarantine wear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
listen.
Oh, yes.
Soft pants, as we like to call it, not hard pants.
Man.
Exactly.
Now, you mentioned it was audio. We do have a video podcast. I was curious what your thoughts are on video podcasts because I noticed that when I was doing my thorough weeks of research for this episode,
Yes. That's what you should do for
you
friends.
only put audio up and then on your YouTube,
Yeah.
you only do clips.
Yeah, we do clips because it's part of the That Sounds Fun show is part of the That Sounds Fun network. And our network works with a lot of different advertising partners. So part of doing those relationships well is making sure that it's an audio experience first. And we've just found so much more of my audience is on the go than sitting and watching. And so they're doing other things. Your people are focused and Levi, it makes tons of sense because they sit, including me, sit and watch you teach. I watch you as much as I listen to you. But for me, so much of my audience gets me audio anyway that we found that moving over to YouTube and having a YouTube presence, you got to really be a YouTube person to do that if you aren't a pastor. And it just wasn't really it isn't where my people are. And so that's kind of the two big reasons.
Did you find, because we found that during the pandemic proper, pandemic with a capital P, which is as delineated from the current pandemic.
That's an actually great way to do this, because everybody can kind of within a few days have the window of time you're talking about if there's a capital P.
Right.
So when you think about it that way, not to pretend like the COVID rates aren't worse than they've ever been at the moment, right? So, but the
humans are complicated people.
But we just so quickly want to talk about it in the past tense, don't we?
Yes, me too.
Couldn't you have just stayed in 2020 COVID? That is so 2020.
Right.
My 8-year-old was like, but it's called COVID-19, so it technically didn't even belong in COVID-20.
That's right.
But the question I was asking is, they told me that we found in that period our audio podcast did go down, probably just as a reflection of people not being in cars.
Yes, that's right. There was just less commuting and less doing things that had long windows of time. So we saw a similar thing. We saw a lot of our shows on the network that are shorter have really high engagement because people are brushing their teeth, or they are just walking from one room of the house to the other, or they're just making dinner. But the good thing y'all have done and that we've gotten to do too is you just keep doing the work you're called to do. And it just does, that stuff doesn't decide whether you do the work you're called to do. And so sometimes you keep going when something is dipping and recovering, and sometimes you quit when something's really successful. And it's not about, none of that determines whether we're obedient.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go.
Come on.
Dang.
So good, Annie.
Yeah.
Preach it.
Annie, you mentioned it, but I would say our friendship burgeoned on an airplane.
Certainly.
We bumped into each other, and then, was it South Carolina? What airport were we in?
No, we were in West Monroe. Yeah. It was
Sadie
after
Robertson's wedding.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we had a little bit of a layover time together in some moments. And then we ended up flying together.
Yes.
And I think of course, we were tracking with you for a long time, have watched from afar, just seeing you just be amazing and full of joy.
Yes.
And even actually we went through, because we don't regularly listen to the same podcast. Jenny and I don't. I have very different taste than she does. But we together sat down.
A better listener of things than I am too.
Are you talking? What did you just say? Could you try that sentence again in the form of a sentence?
You listen to things more than I do.
But you said he's a better listener of things. I just had to draw attention to it.
I was right with you, but I see what happened.
Yeah,
I see what happened, but
yes,
thank you.
I think the plastic is constricting your legs and the blood flow.
My high-waisted jeans, you said?
No. I know your high-waisted jeans. I'm trying to joke about the water bottles
because sometimes they do kind of constrict when you're sitting.
They cut you right under your ribs, and it feels like, am I actually hurting myself? I might be hurting myself,
That's the benefit of not tucking your shirt in. No one knows if you undo the top button.
Yes, that's right. Nobody knows. That's right.
So I was saying, we very rarely, Annie, will listen to podcasts together at the same time. But we went through your entire summer Enneagram series and sat and listened to them together one by one by one. And it was the beginning of our real friendship with you from afar. I didn't know that.
That's so cool. Yeah. Yes.
And it was so enlightening and eye-opening. And I remember two things, and I did tell you this in the airplane that day. Number one, it was so for me, different than I kind of had in my head. I was an Enneagram hater.
Yeah.
Sorry. Essential oils and Enneagram, anything that sweeps the world, I'm skeptical of in the first few months. I'm a cliche in that regard.
And I'm a believer usually right away. So that's where we're different.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I totally believe that.
I'll buy every book about that. I'm the same way, Jenny. I'm like,
Amway sounds tremendous.
But also, I wonder if, Levi, you miss out on some of the culture conversations about Ted Lasso because you won't watch it until it's not cool anymore.
Yeah, it's true.
Totally.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
But then,
sorry, keep going.
But it was you single-handedly made me want to give it a second listen because Jenny really wanted me to. And I told you that. And then I also remember you talking about how much ambivalence you have towards threes. And after I took the test, I was like, crap, I'm thinking Annie's not going to like me because I'm a 3. But
and yet
we hit it off.
We like each other so much.
Yeah.
Well,
wait, isn't ambivalence good?
I had ambivalence. Ambivalence is like tension. I didn't know if it was going to be good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm ambivalent.
My favorite part of that day was when I was waiting on the airplane and the one of the flight attendants said, Levi and Jenny Lusko. And I was like, oh, good. I have friends on this flight.
That's funny.
I was like, I think we're going to take off without them, but I'm glad they're coming. And it was before we got on the plane. Y'all were there in plenty of time for everyone to know.
Hey,
I think they were just upgrading you, but I liked that they yelled your name through the West Monroe Airport.
which is always lovely.
Oh, yes, that's so great.
I will say this. You are one of the most joy-filled human beings and life-giving people.
Yes.
When I see your name, first of all, I think more people should have a dominating middle initial. Don't let John F. Kennedy have all the fun.
Thank you. I was like, oh, you're going to be John F. Kennedy? I'm going to be Annie F. Downs. I'll see you there. That's exactly what I did. Yes.
And what is the F for?
So it's a really complicated Swiss name. And so I usually tell people Fancy, like Reba McEntire's song. I might have been born just plain white trash, but Fancy was my name. But it's just a really complicated with silent letters, blah, blah, blah. But it's fun. And I have to do it. Have we discussed this? I don't know if we've ever talked about this in real life. There's a famous quilter in Australia named Annie Downs. And she dominated the internet when I started my job, when I started writing books. Gosh. So we were like, what are we going to do? And I was like, I said, JFK, I'm coming for you. And I said, bring up that middle initial, call him up from the minors, bring him up from the minor league into the big leagues. Annie F. Downs. That's how it happened.
I love it.
It adds such a degree of sophistication and importance. There's an air of regality
yes.
and nobility to having F. And you know what? No one's ever going to meet you that isn't already piqued in their interest.
That's right. That's right. You know how many people just automatically call me Annie F right after the start? And I'm always like, my people, I appreciate it.
Oh, my word.
When I get married, I'm never going to be able to change my name publicly and be like, I can't lose the Downs because that's like 5 letters people know me for, but I can't go without the F either. I'm going to have to say Annie F. Downs publicly and then privately switch it over, I guess. We'll sort it out. We'll sort it out when we get there.
It's a little bit of a security blanket, perhaps. Now, Annie, how do you sleep? How do you sleep? Are you a good sleeper?
Yes.
I wanted to talk about sleep hygiene. That was one of the things I wanted to bring up.
I can't wait. I need you to know that I actually love talking about sleep. So I'm not sure if you're going to make fun of me about this, but I sleep in socks every night.
Okay.
Wow.
Because I do not like cold feet. Not 1%. Do not want to have cold feet. And as I am the only person in my bed, cold feet are up to me. And so socks. And I believe in turning off the overhead lights. Pretty much as soon as the sun goes down, switch to lamps, settle your spirit, and then sleep for 7 hours. Switch to lamps,
settle your spirit.
That's right. Turn off those. Because in the mornings, when it's time to get ready, if I turn my lamp on, I'm like, oh, that's sleepy time. Yeah. So I'm like, lights on, girl. Yeah. You got to go.
Wake up.
We need to know all the things.
That's
everything.
Right. What do you want to say about sleep hygiene? I've never said those 2 words together.
Well,
I just recently found that that's a thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm horrified by the thought of socks being on my feet in sleep mode.
Wait, but so do your feet ever get too hot and you have to
I'll kick them off at times. Sure.
I often feel like I'm suffocating if there's socks on my feet. It's like a turtleneck.
In general, in life?
The thought of no, in bed.
Okay.
But I regulate, in bed, I don't ever feel like, oh, I'm a little warm. I'm either frozen, going to die of hypothermia, or I'm 3,000 degrees, the surface of the sun, and I have to get everything off as quickly as possible, especially
I feel like with all your ice baths, you have learned how to regulate yourself.
Come on.
And it's time for sleep.
Yeah, I don't know. Sleep, I have a really complicated relationship with sleep.
Keep going.
I wake up this morning, I woke up, my alarm was set for 5:15. I woke up at 3:00 and there was no going back to bed. Tried for an hour, but what
did the Lord have for you? It has to be the Lord when that happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, or it's a day ending in Y.
Oh, really? Does it happen to you all the time?
Almost every day. And
every day?
What?
Almost every day I wake up at some point. I don't always not be able to go back to sleep, but always there's some event at 11 or 12 or 3 where I think it's morning.
I feel like because you just came back from Tennessee. So I feel
do want
like
to talk to you about that.
There are times where you the time change will affect you. I feel like because in Tennessee that would have been 5 a.m. Right.
But the point is, my normal thing is at least 2 or 4 times a night thinking it's morning when it's not. So sleeping is complicated for me.
What happens when you talk to the Lord about it? Do you think there's something wrong or is there something right?
Oh, a deep question. It's so normal to me. It's not.
Has it been your whole life?
Most of my life. I fall asleep very quickly and wake up spontaneously. One time I'd got in the shower fully dressed.
Oh boy.
Because I thought it was morning. Look, this isn't therapy hour, but you know what? Maybe it should be.
I just wonder. I mean, it just makes me wonder. This is not me just shooting sunshine at y'all. I do think y'all matter greatly to the kingdom. And so it just makes me think like, is the Lord downloading to you every night because of what you need to do during the day? Or is it a distraction from you getting the rest you need to do what you need to do during the day?
Wow.
Both.
I'm just going to start praying.
I think a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. But you sleep pretty good. You sleep through the night well.
Yeah, the Lord's like, I don't need you in the middle of the night, girl. I get enough of you in the day. You just keep on snoozing.
That is funny.
That is amazing.
Quiet, ma'am. That's what he says. So,
I was going to, you mentioned Tennessee was where I was at yesterday.
Yes.
Annie, I was in Pigeon Forge. And
Did you go to Dollywood?
Well, I stayed at Dream Hotel.
Dreammore Resort is what you mean.
Thank you. I stayed at Dolly Parton's hotel. I had no idea that existed until I read your book, which we have to get into this because the new book, sounds fun. This has just released this month, February 2nd was the release day?
Yes, February 2nd.
And that's amazing. Yeah. I enjoyed every second of this book. We'll talk about that. That
really means a lot to me. I want to hear about Dreammore, but then that means a lot to me.
But let's get to the important stuff right away. Okay. Dreammore. I didn't know where I had no idea that I was in such an important place.
I wish I'd have known to prep you.
It's just I did not eat cinnamon bread.
I was afraid you were going to tell me you didn't eat cinnamon bread.
So
it's not great for you. So I can imagine it wouldn't be like a natural, like which pastry am I going to pick? Isn't like a Levi Lesko question.
Well, I had oatmeal and
yeah. See, that feels
that's pretty much what I really ate the whole time I was there. And it was very difficult to secure oatmeal.
Were you speaking?
I was at and
fasting
event.
At the same time.
Well, no.
You're on a 21-dayer.
Daniel diet. So all I could really eat was blank oatmeal. But the coffee shop only had sugar-laden oatmeal. Yeah, so they pointed me to the restaurant downstairs.
Certainly.
Yeah.
And so when I went to the restaurant downstairs, they tried to sell me a $27 breakfast brunch. But I did not need that. I just needed oatmeal.
You're like, how much would you charge Daniel from the Bible? Because that's approximately how much I'm going to pay.
Well, I made it a little bit of a religious issue with this lady because like she was not having it. She's like, you can order the $27 brunch or you can go pack and homie. And so I was like, hey, look, what if I just wanted oatmeal, like just per chance? She's like, well, you go to your room and order it from room service. And I was like, and who would secure that for me? She goes, well, we would. And then someone would bring it. I was like, well, here I am. Could you do that for me here? So finally the lady got someone else who said, yes, he can order that off the menu. Just have a seat, honey. What do you want? Oatmeal,
berries,
walnuts, berries, black coffee. So she's like, oh, no. I said, I just felt weird paying $27 for a breakfast brunch for just that. She's like, oh, yeah. So then my friend and I both ordered that exact menu and we ate it. And then the bill came and it was like $70, which made me laugh so hard.
I would have
because we could have just got the brunch and eaten just the oatmeal. It was the same exact price. I don't know how many. They charged me like, $4 per walnut or something, but it was.
Oh, my God.
But then when I was reading, I was like that. So it didn't leave the greatest taste in my mouth the entire experience, although it seemed beautiful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful part of the world, right?
You were like, well, on the way out of town, I just had to swing by Dreammore Resorts and get me some cinnamon bread at Pigeon Forge. And I was like, okay, 3 days ago, I didn't know the word Pigeon Forge was a thing.
Wow.
But it's an important thing.
It's a beautiful part of Tennessee. Yeah, East Tennessee is gorgeous. And Dollywood is literally Dolly Parton's theme park. Okay, that's what you missed out on is it's a legit, I mean, next time, when y'all come to Nashville next time, here's hand to heaven what I will do. Y'all, Whitaker's, me. We'll get in at 15 passenger. We'll just buzz over there real quick. It's only 3 hours.
Well, you said you left at 5:30 a.m. and you arrived at Dollywood at 10 a.m. So that math's not adding up.
You lose an hour.
Eastern time zone. And you know what? Those mountains were beautiful. Are those the Smoky Mountains?
Those are Smoky Mountains, yeah.
I've heard about them all my life. And I was looking out my window in the room and I was like, I think those mountains seem a little smoky. I don't really know for sure.
You were smack in the middle of the Smokies. Well done. That's great. That's really fun. People are back to speaking. That's awesome.
Well, it's, I don't really know if you're supposed to. I made a commitment before and we kind of have gone through like, do you still want us to come or not? And I think, are you getting on planes?
Yeah, I get on a plane tomorrow. Yeah. I mean, it's just isn't this funny? This is what's happened with COVID is suddenly everything on the calendar is in pencil.
Yeah, right.
And every decision is, I think we can do that. And all the things I thought I controlled. I need y'all to know that I have a list on my fridge and on my freezer. I have a white, like a dry erase board on my fridge and my freezer that lists everything in my fridge and my freezer. Is that necessary? No, that's ridiculous. I'm the only person who lives there, but it is a thing I can't control. And I have decided that in this 2021, I am going to be very certain of what I can control. And the list is incredibly short, and let the Lord handle the rest like airplanes. And I'm like, but you know what I can control is that list. I can know what's in that freezer without having to open it.
That is amazing.
Ridiculous, but it's
I
a
love
lovely
that
technique.
so much. Oh my gosh.
Ridiculous.
Wow.
Well, what's bringing you the greatest joy right now?
You know, one of the things it's happening very slowly is the days are getting longer. And I am ready for some.
Is it a minute morning, minute night?
It's literally 2 minutes a day, but
wow,
it will suddenly not. One of the problems about where Nashville lies in the central time zone, this is way more than y'all signed up for, is we're very far east on the central time zone. So that means we look like Atlanta sunshine wise, but we're an hour behind Atlanta sunshine wise.
Oh.
So in the worst part of the winter, it's not the worst to some people, the darkest part of the winter.
Yeah, Nashville is a city full of people who love darkness. Yes.
Yeah, gracious. I mean, it's dark at 3:30, and it's just doesn't work for me. So that's bringing me a ton of joy, Levi, is getting to like start seeing the days be longer, have random 50-degree days where we can be outside. And then the other thing that always brings me joy is my friends' kids. Since I'm not married yet, don't have kids yet, my friends' kids, I had no idea when my friends had babies, they were birthing other sets of friends for me. I didn't think about it. And it is the joy. I mean, it is one of my very favorite things is being with my friends' kids.
That's so beautiful. What a gift that is. I love seeing your posts of like things that they've driven or drawn for you.
Yeah. They call me Crazy Annie.
Crazy
Isn't
Annie.
that the best?
Yeah.
It's and I mean, they are like, Crazy Annie, come over. Crazy Annie. I mean, they think that is my name. It's like my aunt name. It's so sweet. And then I get to be wild because y'all know me. I mean, I'm like, when I show up at 5:00 and the mom and dad have been dealing with people for a lot of time, especially during quarantine when we had like a little pod that we were all together, I can do the witching hour. I can do an hour. I can be silly. I can throw them around. We can make up games. Yesterday I was watching an Arsenal soccer match over with one of the families for lunchtime. And I kept forcing the kids to come to meetings with me, which just meant I held them and wouldn't let go. I was like, it's a work day. We need to have a meeting. And then I would just grab them and not let go. And they're like, let me out of this meeting, Crazy Annie. And I do that for 40 minutes and then I come back to work. And it's just it is such a gift in my life to be able to be loved by people that are so small and so innocent and are just wide open to love in the world. It is so sweet to me.
Wow.
When you think about Jesus saying we have to become more like kids to enter into the kingdom of heaven. And, you know, it's just interesting that at some point along the way, most of us lose that. We lose that ability to tell a story, and we start pretending. We start, taking on affectations or
even relating to kids. I feel like there comes a time where some people like just have a hard time even like playing or relating, or people on planes who like forget that all people are babies once because they're so annoyed by the babies on the plane. It's like, wait a second, but just that sweetness.
Our mutual friend, Jenny Allen, and I were talking the other day, and she said, so she was just saying to me, like, who's the fun person in the Bible? Like, when you think about fun, who's the fun person in the Bible? And I was like, who did kids love? And who was always invited to parties? Jesus.
Right.
Kids loved him. The first miracle, right, is the water to wine at a wedding that Jesus and his boys were invited to because they were fun at weddings. Nobody invites people to weddings that aren't fun. And so it just is like, I think, man, we missed a little bit of the story, but John told us we did, because John says if we wrote down everything that happened with Jesus, there wouldn't be enough books in the world. And so we missed some of the stories. And some of the ones I think we missed are the ones of like Jesus launching kids into the Sea of Galilee, and Jesus being the guy that everybody thinks is funny at a party. And I mean, even the big fancy people wanted him at their meal. Yeah. He was fun to be around.
Yeah.
And we get to model that by being fun with kids, I think.
I love it. I love that.
Now, Annie, you released this new book, That Sounds Fun, which is book number 7, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right. Thank you. I think that's probably true.
Which is like a biblical milestone to reach.
7.
Never thought about that.
And not
I
only
need to talk to Jesus about that.
No, but not just 7, but 7 since 2012.
Yeah.
Which is an intense publishing schedule by any stretch of the imagination.
It's like one a year.
Yeah, it's pretty close to one a year.
It's close too. Is that just you feel inspired to go, or is it your mentality? Like, I'm going to release a book pretty much once every year?
No, I don't know that it's necessarily on purpose because we really haven't released one. Remember God came out in fall of 2018. And if y'all seen that cover is black and it's dark. And that was like the saddest parts of my story are in Remember God. In a very beautiful, God redeemed it in some miraculous ways. The last story in there is about this experience, and Remember God is about this experience in England where the Lord just like spoke to me through someone else, and it changed my life. But when that one was done, y'all probably have books like this too. When that was done, I was like, I'm not sure I'm doing this again. Because up until that, some of those books, Levi, are books for teenagers, and like 100 Days to Brave, that was originally, I mean, it is the one I'm most known for, but it was originally a side project to Let's All Be Brave. Wow. And it just had a pretty cover, and people from The Bachelorette started posting it and everybody started reading it. And so they liked the cover on their Instagram, which won't the Lord do it? Yeah. Right. But
yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
So I think that's how some of them stacked up. But after Remember God, I was like, I don't know that I can do this again. This is what I'm having to live in order to find the right book is too painful. Gosh. And then I have to write it and live it again. And then I have to talk about it. Right. And then as this concept started coming to me, because that's kind of what I do, Levi, I'm super interested to hear if this is how y'all come up with your books too. But as I just started listening to what was going on in my life and what other people needed from me. Mm. And I was kind of like, man, the thing I need is to find more fun. You're right. You're very kind to say I'm kind of naturally this, but not during COVID. And not when I was trapped in my house by myself for months. Like this was not easy. And which is wild because I'd finished writing That Sounds Fun last spring, right as capital P.
Okay, I was going to ask you about that because it seemed like as I was reading it, I couldn't tell as I was going through it if you had written it ahead of time and then redid the intro to kind of give it more of a COVID flavor. Yeah,
so we literally laid a COVID filter on top of the whole book and said, is this still true? And I took out an entire chapter because I was like, that doesn't hold up when this happens in the world. And so that was a little fluffy. So we're removing it and we're putting in some new stuff. So we got to filter the whole thing through COVID and didn't finish it until the very last minute at the end of 2020.
Yeah, because to have done it as fresh as it feels for the season we're in and be in my hands right now is pretty astounding, which I imagine your publisher had to compress and condense some of what the normal timeline.
We broke some rules, yes. But how can you put out a book asking people to deep dive into their own hearts and find out what sounds fun to them? Because it's actually telling them about their relationship with God and the eternity that's set in their hearts, and be tone deaf about the last year we've just had. I just thought we can't. Well, my publisher agreed. It wasn't that I had to fight them on it. My publisher, Baker, was like, yes, we have to get this right because if people really get a hold of this, it is medicine for a sickness we all have right now, I think.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
Well, I not only do I think the cover is beautiful, and I'm as someone who loves reading and writes books as well, the cover immediately brings joy. And
it looks like a good tattoo.
I was going to say that. Every one of these could become a tattoo and should become.
Oh, I should. Yeah, I'd love. That's a great idea. I should do one of those.
Do you have a tattoo?
I have 3, but they're white.
Oh.
I wonder if I can even get it close enough to show you.
She talks about it in the book, how addicting they are, how unconcerted she is,
okay,
disconcerted she is by how much she wants to.
So do they show up in what kind of light is that?
Black light? No, I didn't do that ink. I just did pure white ink. So they more look like brands. Like
Jenny, those are ravers that do that. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know.
Don't put it past me, Jenny. You know me. I would have done that. If
Follow the white rabbit in the first Matrix. Yeah.
Yes. Levi, can I also just say, I know you read a lot, but it means a ton to me that you read my book. You did not have to do that. We could have done this and just chatted, but
would have done it had we not been having this conversation because I respect you and your voice.
Yeah.
And I know you agonize over your communication. And I think you have a unique perspective too, because you talk to so many different people.
Yeah.
I mean, you've released hundreds of episodes of podcasts. You've spoken to all the major thought leaders in Christianity for sure, but also in a wide realm of culture. And so your perspective to me, especially knowing that I assumed a good portion of it had been written in COVID, but I thought this was a masterpiece. I think I've long since believed in the resistance that we should all have to making something a job just because you're good at it. And so your entire premise of embracing the concept of being an amateur, I think it has so many layers to it that you unpack throughout the book. So I'd love for you even just to speak to that a little bit and just the permission that there is in, hey, I've never been here before.
Yeah. Because I don't know when it happened. I don't know if it's when social media started or what, but it feels like at some point we stopped letting ourselves and each other not be professionals at something. And we decided like, well, the only time you can have that conversation is if you know everything. So don't get into the racial reconciliation justice conversation until you've read all the books. Now, I do believe in wisdom. You do need to have wisdom, but like scripture says, be quick to listen, slow to speak, not never speak. Right. So part of being an amateur is going like, I'm going to dip my toe in some of these conversations, in some of these relationships, in some of these hobbies, maybe even in a career or in a dream, and not know what's going to happen next. The whole reason I started my podcast is because someone said to me, will you have a conversation with this fiction writer, Ted Decker? And I was like, I had never interviewed anyone before and I didn't have a podcast. And they said, you can just release it. And I said, I don't have anywhere. What, on my blog? What do you want me to do? And she said, have you thought about starting a podcast? And hand to heaven, I said, that sounds fun.
I love that
and I was
story.
Like, okay. I went home, I Googled it. And the reason I tell you that story is to say that to be an amateur is to go, I'm not giving my life to a podcast. I'm doing one conversation. I'm not giving my life to being a baseball player, but I'll go play outside with my kids. You know, like I'm not going to maybe be on the front page of a newspaper talking about politics or talking about racial injustice, but I can have those conversations with my neighbors.
Yeah.
And when we go like, hey, it is okay for me to step in as an amateur, it also makes us give permission to the other people to be like, man, that conversation kind of hurt my feelings, but he's not a professional at breaking up with someone. So, okay, he's an amateur. Wow. Or that I'm really hurt by what that thing that happened, but my parents are not professionals at parenting 40-year-olds. Wow. And so I give them a little bit of grace because today's the first day they've ever parented me at this age too. Wow. Right. And as parents, we can looking down on the kids, looking down, meaning looking to them and going, hey, I'm an amateur at this, man. I'm learning some things as I go. I'm not unknowledgeable, but I'm not a pro. And so if we just give each other that permission, y'all, I just think, man, how much more fun could everything be if we went into conversations and experiences going like, I give you all the permission to not be perfect at this.
Come on.
And how much more fun would skiing be if people weren't afraid of falling? Because they know they're going to fall because they've never done it.
Tell her, Annie, because she knows she falls. She falls a good bit and she doesn't want to do it. I'm joking.
I don't love it either. I mean, I'll do it, but I don't love it. But it's just things like that of going like, man, what if we just said
that was a really good Southern. You dropped your voice like 3 octaves to hit that. I don't love that.
I don't love that.
But you do have a massive love for Colorado, which comes through in the book. As a Colorado native, I accept your love. I accept
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I got to talk about Lost Valley Ranch. Y'all been there, haven't you? Have y'all been to Lost Valley yet?
Never been there, but we love Colorado.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Colorado in the summer. In the summer, is it better than the winter? I don't know. They're both perfect.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So yeah, just
people
giving each other
don't
permission.
often think about Colorado in the summer a lot. It's an unsung gem.
Oh, I like it better in the summer because I fall less in the summer than I do in the winter. As
a ski junkie, I tend to think if I'm going to go, I don't go in the summer. I want to go in the winter, but we took a vacation to Vail when there was no skiing, and they do such a good job of the summer activities on the zip lines and the summer tubing and all that stuff.
Yeah. I went to Taos this summer, by the way. Have you skied Taos before? In New Mexico?
I lived in New Mexico for 10 years and I went to Taos this summer also. We spent some time in Taos this summer.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to be very sad if we overlapped.
That would be the best.
I know.
What
hiking
were you doing there? What
was
were you doing
awesome.
in Taos?
We had just not been anywhere. And one of our friends' families has a house there. So she said, quarantine wise, we could do this here or we can do it there. Yeah. And so we were like, let's just go out. So we just flew out there and stayed at the house for a week or so and still did our jobs and still did everything, but just got a different scenery for a little bit of August.
And the drive from Albuquerque, I imagine you flew into Albuquerque. Yeah.
Yeah.
The drive from Albuquerque, you follow the Rio Grande River. It's gorgeous the whole way. So I brought a fly fishing pole and we would just stop and do a little fly fishing. I got into...
He would do.
Well, you would hang out there. I got into fish so intensely. I think I caught like 13 fish in 15 minutes in the Rio Grande River. And there was 2 otters that were trying to catch fish right where I was casting into, and the sun was kind of setting. It was one of those days that it was like, I would look back and Jenny and the kids would be on the shore. It's like, I'm going to pull that out on the days that are the tough ones. It was
Will you tell me what you love about fishing? What is it? If it's considered one of your hobbies, why? Why do you love it?
Well, Annie F. Downs, I'm glad you asked. The reality is,
it's a new love.
When I was a little boy, my dad would take me fishing some, and I've always fondly liked it, but I've never been an avid fisherman, nor will I ever become a professional. I'm just dabbling in it.
Yes.
That's such a freeing language, by the way. And
it's
I can't
so true.
reiterate.
I was just going to say that. It's so freeing.
Well, you know, the thing that you do so well is, you're one of the best storytellers I've ever read. You tell stories that put me into it. I feel like I'm there with you watching the brand go into the ceiling in the, dining hall of the. You found your thread so early in the book, these themes of embracing being an amateur. And obviously it's not part of the subtitle, but I think another subtle theme that you wind all throughout is the heart's crying out for Eden. Our souls are all, and I'd love to have you unpack that because you weave it throughout.
Yeah.
But I think what's so incredible is you slip teaching moments in, and you're teaching us things about the Bible or about Jesus, but you're doing it in a way that's all allegorized through your own life, where it's like, it's almost a spoonful of sugar. You don't even realize you've taken the medicine down.
Wow.
It's like, I've actually learned some incredibly insightful things, but she's such a Jedi master that I enjoyed it because it was like, a lot of people tell a story only as an excuse to get into a sermonic
the intro. That's right.
Yeah. And your whole thing is the story. Yeah. And you're like, wait, I almost feel like, ooh, it's guilty pleasure. This whole chapter is just a story. It's like, dang it, I learned something. Oh, Annie F.
How dare you?
I was not here to learn. I kept reading because, I just wanted the stories. But that's right. You did that really well.
Thank you, Levi. That means a ton.
So talk to us about the heart's cry for Eden. What do you mean?
I think, that's the closest I can figure out to the thing I've always felt. And one of I have this quote in the book from J.R.R. Tolkien about how we've always been looking for Eden. Our hearts have always been crying out for that. And so as I started thinking through my own story, all I really did is, as curious as I feel about other people, I took some time and turned that curiosity on myself and went, why do I always do that? Why do I feel that? What is that loss I feel? And the thing that we learned from that movie Inside Out is that joy and suffering, joy and sadness actually go together better than they are apart from each other. True. So I went, why is it that I always feel sad when I think back on that, but I also have good memories? How does that work? So I did this deep dive in me. And then I took it to some people who are professionals and said, what does this mean? And it all goes back to Eden. It all goes back to the eternity set in our hearts. It goes back to the simplicity of when we were kids and we thought, like you said, you were fishing with your dad. I mean, I
never answered your question. I do intend to come back around to that eventually, but keep going. But
it's true. You said, you told me a big part of the why, because that's what we need to ask ourselves. When we ask ourselves what sounds fun to me, the second question is why? Because the why really tells you what's going on in your soul. And so the Eden thing, there is a simplicity that we've lost that we think we can find again. And the sad part is that Eden's gone. I can't go back to being 5 years old and not knowing what I know now. Now, he's going to make all things new. And in y'all's story and my story, that is a day. That is a day we are looking forward to, is making all things new. But we're in the middle of that. We're in the middle of having lost the simplicity and the word in my mind is the earnestness of our childhood and how it just was, every day was just that day. And now we're here. And what do you do with it? And so to acknowledge that we've lost Eden, and the rest of this is about finding glimpses of it versus trying to feel that feeling again. Because when you're trying to feel that free again, you're actually teetering usually into escapism or debauchery. That's what you're usually, if you're going, I just got to feel free. I gotta get out of this. I can't, let's spend all of our money and fly somewhere far away and just feel better. And it's like, yeah, but when you come home, your address hasn't changed, man. Like, dang. You aren't actually getting away. The deception about escapism is you actually don't ever get away. It's just a loop. It's more of a boomerang. And true fun, genuine fun exists at the same time as the sadness you feel, where you go like, man, I'm sorry about the loss I experienced. I'm sorry that this isn't working out. I'm sorry we're all dealing with COVID in some way or another in our lives. Where can I find fun in the middle of that?
Come on.
Where can I get a glimpse of what God has for me and what this eternity is I'm going for? And sometimes that's music. Sometimes that's a walk. Sometimes that's a phone call. Sometimes that's a puzzle. I mean, it can be anything, anything that reminds you of what it used to be like before you know what you know, before you know too much, and where we're going after this. That's the real fun. That's the good stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, I actually underlined that as my second favorite quote you give is that fun is never meant to replace pain, or better said, fun will never replace pain, but fun can walk alongside it. You can hold them both and see what happens when they dance together.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I just think it's true. I think I'm a better Annie when I stopped running from pain and let it coexist with the fun life I was trying to have.
So you're not numbing. You're feeling it all fully.
Yeah. Yeah. Because when you numb, I mean, I do think you shouldn't have surgery without having it numbed, right? Like there are moments where numbing is appropriate. I don't think numbing with alcohol is going to get you as far as you want it to, but there are times where like, okay, I need an hour break from the news. I can't intake that anymore. I need a break. I get that. But when you have a numbing lifestyle and it is like, I'm just not going to feel that. I'm just not going to feel that. I'm going to hurry to the next thing. I've got too many meetings. I don't have time for fun. I don't have time for a hobby. I'm like, no, you actually don't have time for what hurts you.
Whoa.
And if you'll stop and feel what hurts you, you're actually also going to make time for things that'll make you really happy.
Yeah, you're giving some great language to something that we found intuitively to be the way through grief, especially for us in the ironically the backwards kind of way, in giving ourselves permission to feel good again after grief, because you kind of feel like it's a betrayal to the person you love and lost to ever smile and laugh and dance again. And the first time you go maybe 3 or 4 hours without thinking about them, and then eventually you'll go a whole day and not cry, and you almost feel bad for it, and so you almost beat yourself up for it. So I think in some ways you can find that now fun and sadness, because sometimes we want to cling to our sadness a little bit.
Yeah.
And almost feel like some sort of sense of purpose in that, when if God's, we've always felt like if God wants to heal our limp, we're not going to pretend like we still have one.
Oh, you better say that.
So letting them kind of both go together. So you're saying, don't chase away your sadness, let the joy be there and let them dance together.
Yeah. That's it. And both of them are going to happen in your life. Like someone said, what do you think this year is going to be like for you? I was like, well, the nature of a tragedy is you don't really have a lot of heads up. Like, I don't know. I think there will be sadness this year. I think what I can choose is there will be joy and there will be fun. And I will put time in my life to do things that bring me joy.
Annie, my second favorite quote was that one. My third favorite quote is this one.
So nice.
I know that this is page 140, people, if you're following along in your textbooks at home. Pupils. I know that my insecurities while trying to find a man will not disappear upon acquiring one. They will simply shapeshift. It may look like new iterations or sound like new questions, but it will be the same old toxins, new bottle, same poison.
Yeah.
Come on.
Annie F. Downs.
Wow.
I think that's true. It's true so far. When I switch jobs, when I switch relationships, when I switch homes, the biggest lie that men and women who are living in bodies experience is, if I change my body to match the thing that I think will make me happy and I get the thing, then I'll feel happy. And it's never true.
Right.
We're never satisfied. We're just never satisfied as people. Yeah. We ate lunch and we still want dinner. We're just never satisfied.
Come on.
And so with our insecurities, whatever they are, the goal is not to get rid of them. The goal is to stop listening to them.
Yeah, wow.
When they make their noise, just ignore them, and they'll get quieter and quieter until you make a big shift and make a big step forward in your life, until you're fasting for 21 days, right? Like, I'll tell you what, when I fast, it isn't the fast where I'm struggling. It's the week after. Right. Or it's the 2 weeks later when I'm like, well, now I have all these questions and I thought God, right? Like, it's going to show up. The insecurities are going to come at you. The goal has to stop being get rid of your insecurities and instead just ignore them. And I mean, I think that's true. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong about that. I haven't experienced them to go all the way away. I think there's been a ton of freedom and a ton of kindness from God, that they are not the volume or the frequency that they used to be. But I don't know a world without some insecurities in my life. I just don't let them tell me who I am anymore.
Yeah.
No, and I think what you're saying is so freeing and empowering for a whole generation full of people who, and it's not just the spouse, it's this job, it's this,
that's right.
It's this promotion, things aren't right. I just need to change churches, or I just need to, this is where I'm now, everything's fine. And we idealize this new thing. One of the theme verses for our marriage was that Isaac lifted his eyes in the fields and then saw Rebecca coming to him.
Yeah.
And she was the camel waterer, but he was in the fields. He wasn't playing the field. He was working the field. And when you're working the field, which Jesus sent us all out into, you can lift your eyes one day and there comes Rebecca. And she's a servant. She's got a nose piercing. She's amazing. But he didn't go look for her. God's Holy Spirit, which is Eleazar, is the type of the Holy Spirit, brings her to him, and so anyhow, Jenny and I were that way. We lifted our eyes one day and there we were. We really never looked for each other. We just lifted our eyes in the fields and it was like, oh, hey, you want to do the field together? Yeah, and so here we are in the field. So I just think that is such an empowering place for you to be, to say, hey, no man can fix anything in me.
Yeah.
And isn't meant to, nor me and him. And so to think that the marriage is going to solve some insufficiency, I think that's very, 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 very helpful language.
Well, yeah, going to a new place, you're still the same you. So you're bringing, like you said, you're bringing the insecurities, you're bringing all the things that are inside you into that new relationship or into that new church or into that new job or whatever. So it's like, you're not going to run away from yourself.
A new guy moved to our town a couple of weeks ago. And a friend of mine, and he's moved around a lot. How do I say this politely? He doesn't have a great reputation in the places where he lives for how he handles himself. And my friend says, I just haven't heard much about him. And I was like, it's because he keeps moving.
Wow.
But the problem is enough people know enough things, right? And that is the same with our insecurities, is we think we can move away and nobody's going to know. And then we move to the next place and nobody's going to know. But our insecurities are very easily packed and they move with you and they travel with you.
And we leave a trail. We leave a trail behind us.
The best thing, that's right. The best thing we can do for each other. I think this is how it works in dating relationships. I assume there's a version of this in marriage too, is you go, I can't get rid of that insecurity, but I can tell you the truth. And this is true in friendships where you go, I hear what you're saying and I believe you feel that. Can I tell you what I see? Because what I see is different than what insecurity is feeding you. And that is the most we can do for each other, is tell each other the truth and invite, because then that invites your friend, your partner to go, if that's true, what can I do? What can I do with it? And who am I? And then when we're secure in who we are, when we like being in our skin 98% of the time, then you realize what you really love to do and you realize what is really fun to you. And you feel permission to go after it because you're not trying to shape shift yourself to be who these other people want you to be anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Love it.
But still finding, you said a minute ago, I like that you aren't quick to paint with a broom in any of this stuff, because even as you said, we were about to say numbing's not great. You were like, yeah, but time off news is good, which is kind of anti-numbing because the news is more numbing perhaps than the anti, but you talked the day that you needed to go see the movie, you talk in the book about the day that which I don't know what you see in snow caps, but
they're delicious.
I don't know. Are they?
They're just like chocolate chips with white dots all over them. They're so nice.
Well, what are the white dots? They're so benign.
I have no idea. What are they? They are pure chemical.
They don't seem to have any flavor to them.
There's something about polka dots though.
So it's more an aesthetic thing than a flavor thing.
They are beautiful. Yeah, they are beautiful.
There you go.
And I do feel a tiny bit of shame when I'm done with the box and the movie started and I still turn it up and throw all those dots into my mouth.
For the two
everybody hears like, and here's them all roll down the bottom box. I'm like, that's me.
Like the rain stick in the Taos gift store.
I'm your local rain stick at the end of my box of snow.
Oh, rain's coming. Rain's coming.
At the beginning of the movie, you said?
See, my movie theater indulgence, if we're going that route, is popcorn, Milk Duds. Pour the Milk Duds in the popcorn.
I've never even heard of this. It's great.
God. Well, it softens them up. They get warm. They get tactile. They get tactile? They don't perfectly melt. Oh, no. But you're eating them together. So you're kind of getting a sweet, savory thing going down. Okay.
So it's like an M&M sitch when you put M&Ms into the popcorn, but it's better because they're a little bit bigger and caramel. So they get, as you say, tactile, but not
I don't like
melty.
I don't like a real hard Milk Dud. I don't want to break a tooth.
No, when people say things like put stuff like that in the freezer, I'm like, well, tell me about your dental bills because how dare you? I mean, don't even think about it.
How dare you, sir? Do you not even love your molars?
Terrible idea. Right.
You grow new teeth every 2 years?
Yeah. But you're right. That's what I still sometimes do. And what I had to do that day is I was so sad and I had been so sad for days. And I thought, I just have to go to a movie for 2 hours. I just need 2 hours with my phone off. Yeah. And then the world still existed. Whereas there was a version of Annie a few years ago who would have said, what if we stayed in here for 3 movies? Or what if after this movie, then we did, as if I could outrun the pain. And instead, what I'm learning is like, you actually aren't going to outrun it, but you are very welcome to take a 2-hour break from it today.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And that is what I like about fly fishing. I think that it gives me a mental vacation. You know, why do I wake up at 4 a.m.? Usually it's my mind is going 700 miles an hour on 20 problems. The book I'm trying to edit, the issue with a staff member, and they all collide at, bang, at wake up hours. So the crazy thing about, to me, playing tennis and fishing and really being in the sauna, those kind of things, is I can't really think about all those things at the same time and just cope with the heat or cast the fly, and then the tennis as well. So it's giving myself permission to take a break from those things.
Yes, you're resting your brain. That's fascinating.
It's a lot better than heroin, you know what I mean? Which is for sure a way to do it as well. But again, you're going to have the law of diminishing returns as well as the same problem still exists in full form. So like you're saying, hey, there's a little break from it for a little bit, and then we're going to go back to it and let the pain and the laughter dance. That's right. That's beautiful. And that is what hobbies do. That's why we need them, is we need to make this space. It is connecting you with nature. It's connecting you with other people. I mean, my example for you would be, I know our buddy Carlos fly fishes as well. So you've got people that even if y'all aren't together, you can send pictures or text. Pastor Derwin Gray does the same, where you can all kind of go, hey, did you see this? And it gives you community within your hobby, even if you're doing it alone, because your brain needs to rest. And there's just not a lot like that. And that was the Taos thing. It's like by the way, such high altitude. Do you have problems breathing in Taos? That's a high altitude. My gosh, it was so high. And playing tennis at that altitude, because you probably drove right by them. There's one outdoor tennis court community. You drive by, we would play tennis there, and the balls sail at that altitude. You have to really add some serious topspin because they're just out to the moon. Yeah. So fun though. I'm going to play next time I go, just to launch them. I mean, we'd go upstairs just to go to bed and I'd be out of breath. You're doubled over breathing. I was like, I know I've been working harder than this. I can run and I can't get up the stairs in Taos. My gracious. Oh my God. But also when you ride the ski lifts in the summer, this is probably y'all's whole life. That is a much farther drop when there is not snow. Yes, that's true. That is you feel like you are. Did you drop something off of it? No, I felt like my body was going to drop off, and I was scared the whole time. I was like, "You put the safety bar down?" No, you're not going to fall. You're not going to fall. Famous last words. I mean, but I was like, "Is this a roller coaster I need to pay an admission to?" Because I am high off the ground. Oh my god! You do think about that when you're on a chairlift. Like, who engineered this wire? What is his name? How long has it been here? There's moments when you're like, are we sure that engineering work was done properly? And when the people in front of you can't get off and it just stops, and I'm like, nope, go. Keep going. Yeah. Not my ministry. Did you grow up skiing? No, I grew up in Georgia. So we did water skiing, right? And tubing. But no, I didn't even
try snow skiing until I was in college, and it was in West Virginia, which I love our people in West Virginia, but that is not the same as out west snow skiing. It's very
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because like our kids are like Lennox is 3 and he's snowboarding. Clover and Daisy ski, but they have a fearlessness. I think for me, because I didn't snowboard till I was 19. And there's just a fear of like, I can't get off this thing, or falling. It was really painful. And I don't like, I'm not used to this, but like our kids, which I love so much that they're learning it now because they're able to like, I mean, they're cruising and learning and they're not afraid of getting on the ski lift or off. And it's like, it's amazing. And
they're so much closer to the ground and they aren't going to notice as they're getting taller. Exactly. And so they're going to just keep skiing and feeling safe, even though they're farther from the ground than they are. Right. I just think that's brilliant. Y'all started them so young. That's awesome.
That's so fun.
Yeah. I started skiing at 2, and there was one chairlift I jumped off of. My friends talked me into it. We were fine and we got away.
How old were you when you jumped off?
I was in 7th grade or 8th grade.
Classic.
It was a big thing though, like, because if you got caught, you would clip your pass. They would take your pass. We had season passes, you know? So like, it was like, we had to like, we planned it where we were going to do it. We thought it was so cool to be able to jump off and ride it right away. So we strapped in first our snowboards and kind of jumped, and it worked flawlessly. We rode away perfectly. Yeah.
See, how far was the drop though? Was it like a?
No, it wasn't far. I don't know, 10 or 15 feet maybe at that point.
Oh
but
my gosh.
So you just drop and scoot away before anybody.
Powdery day, kind of a little bit of a hill, and we thought it was we built it up
probably
so
right
much
in between the top and bottom, so neither of the Guardy people are watching you.
Yeah, we know
Guardy
boys, man.
If there is someone out there looking for us, I don't. we haven't heard it from.
You're
them.
like, I've never been back to that particular slope. Please don't ask me where it was.
It's like Bill Murray the first time he started committing crimes, and he's like asking the lady who runs the bed and breakfast in Groundhog's Day, like, has there been a state trooper looking for me? Anyone looking for me today? Tall person with watch cap. Oh, great.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Annie, we wanted to talk a little bit about Disneyland. Just how much you love Disneyland. It's pretty incredible.
I think it's fun. I'd only been that one time. I've only been one.
Because you're a Disney World girl.
Yeah, just because it's Florida and it's closer up to Georgia and Tennessee. But yeah, I'd love to. I mean, I just think theme parks, that's the crazy thing about fun, is that people always assume it has to be big like Disneyland or Dollywood or a ski trip.
Yeah.
When it can be very small and very cheap and very 30 minutes on your calendar every week.
Yeah.
But man, those moments when you get to jump into, I mean, that Peter Pan ride at Disney World and Disneyland will just make me tear up every time when you float over London. I just love it so much.
It's partially probably because of your love for London.
Yeah, that's true.
But also the desire to foster the childhood spirit too. There's something about that.
Right.
Have you heard that C.S. Lewis thing, right?
Not yet.
Well, the whole thing about C.S. Lewis is that he was saved in part because of the way that stories like Peter Pan tugged at his heart, even when he was a devout atheist.
Wow.
And he was talking to Tolkien about it, and he was like, in my head, I don't believe eternal life or beauty really is meaning or any of those things. I don't believe in them intellectually as an atheist. But when I read legends and stories and myths, something in my heart begs for it to be true. So I feel things that I intellectually can't explain because of, the idea of random chance and all the things that he believed in. So he talked to Tolkien about it, who was a part of the Inklings. And he told him, he said, because Tolkien was a Christian, and he said, the reason you believe those things, and even though you don't trust them in your head, you believe them in your heart, is because they point to the great story.
Wow.
And the idea of Peter Pan, we never were meant to grow up and become self-important. Beauty and the Beast, love can conquer hate. Those stories are not they're not one more story like the gospel. They're all stories that point to the gospel.
Yes.
And it was 12 days later after that conversation, C.S. Lewis wrote a letter to his friend Arthur Greeves and said, I've decided to become a Christian, and pointed to that day as a pivotal moment for him.
Wow.
So it makes all the sense in the world to me that would cause you to feel something.
Yes. Wow. And Peter Pan's such an interesting character to think about in this way too, because his goal is fun, right? Like he just wants to have a good time all the time. Why do we have to do anything responsible? I don't ever want to grow up. And,
right.
and we all can connect both with, man, that would have been fun to never grow up. And he's really missing out not growing up. There's both and, right? So Peter Pan's such a great character to study when we're thinking about this and go, what is it about both of these things that are true about this movie and this story that draw me in? And I think, I just love it. Do y'all like going to Disneyland too?
We're Disney freaks. We love it. We used to have passes before we had kids. When we lived in California, we would go on date nights, get a churro, ride Pirates of the Caribbean, go home.
Love it so
what a dream. If you live close to either of them, why would you not have passes?
I know. Seriously.
I don't trust you.
Right.
So we've raised our kids there. We have such fond memories. Linya, our daughter who's in heaven, the last trip I took her on alone, daddy-daughter style, was to Disneyland. And while we were there, at one point, and I talk about this in Through the Eyes of a Lion, Cinderella came up behind us and grabbed Linya's hand and just started walking with her. And they went off ahead of me. And I just quickly started filming and bawling.
Yeah.
And Cinderella and Linya just walking hand in hand through the park and just not a care in the world. And I don't know what they talked about, but they were just talking. And apparently, and then we ended up at this other ride. And it's because I guess Cinderella had asked her, would you like to go meet Tinkerbell? So he wanted to take her to meet some other princess. And I say that's the image I have of when she went home. We were walking hand in hand. And one day Jesus just came, grabbed her by the hand and took her to meet the other princesses,
Yeah.
But there is something about that. But you also, Annie, you have a romantic disposition.
Yes.
And unlike not everybody, it's not good or bad. It's just who you are.
Yeah.
You talk about getting to the beginning of Major League Soccer and already feeling sad that the season's coming to an end.
Right. What's wrong with me? I know.
No, I relate to that. Okay, so I'm weird like that too.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the woods, I get sad when I think about the trees at night when no one can see them. Like it's a weird thing. And that's the kind of stuff I think about. So I relate to the weirdness and the sadness and the nostalgia. And when you talk about being in the church that you grew up in and seeing the empty building and the wall, you bullied a girl in a bathroom.
Yes, I know.
As someone who was bullied in the bathroom, I resented that part.
I know.
No, I resented that. I
should have been jumping off ski lifts instead of being unkind to girls in grade. But
that is so funny. But I relate to that and to that high feel. And I think a lot of people,
and I think that is what makes us good storytellers, is because I don't walk into a situation and not think about how I will retell it someday, maybe. Not everything, not like every date or every conversation, but when I go like, man, the sun's really doing something interesting. And today look at the date on the calendar. And last year at this time, here's what I was doing. And, that kind of thing. Our brains are, Levi, if I'm hearing you correctly, our brains are just kind of crafting a lot. Stories that God's telling us that are just for us, and stories that we are meant to tell other people. So that romantic disposition is the storyteller in me too, I think.
Totally. Yes.
And what's interesting is I've read that a large amount of the population who struggle with anxiety or panic attacks tend to have that trait.
Wow.
If it's easy to visualize something beautiful, it can also be easy to visualize something painful, and
it can feel just as real.
Just as real. So what's cool though is that in both instances there's a flip side to every, or a shadow side to every personality trait. So you're exhibiting the positive of what can be a difficult cross to bear, right?
Yeah, I hope. I mean, I think everything has got that balance to it, that it doesn't come free. And sometimes I write stories that don't happen, right? Where I go, oh, well, look at this and this and this and this and this. We're getting engaged, right? Or like,
right.
I can write stories farther than I can see them. But I also think that's where a prophetic gifting comes into, where I go like, okay, Lord, I'm going to pray to that. And you may change my vision and you may change what I see. But if I can get panicked about something and spiral because I can see this story going all the way to the negative, what would it look like to instead prophetically see it going all the way in the positive and pray in that direction?
That's
and
huge.
So I think that is what I do when the anxiety gets loud to me, or when I go like, well, if this happened and then this happened and then this, and then all of a sudden I'm rolling down the hill. I go, okay, but what if another story was being told here?
Wow.
And also that's when you invite other people in, right? I mean, that's when you go like, hey, we have this Marco Polo group. And just last night, one of my girlfriends said, I just need to say out loud the story I'm writing in my head. And she just told this whole story. We were like, we see how you got there. None of that's true. So let's walk you backwards out of it. But that's why you got to invite people. And I mean, I've done that in confrontation as well, where I said, hey, I just need us to talk about the story I'm writing in my head about why you did the thing you did or why you said it that way. Because the story I'm writing in my head is that you hate me.
Yeah.
And then the person's like, no, the story is that I was running late and I spilled coffee on the way to work. And when you asked me if I wanted coffee, of course I didn't because my pants are wet or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's all about the stories we're writing in our head and how we can turn those to not turn them to prayer. Sounds like a Christian thing to say, but genuinely go, okay, if I can write a negative story like this, there's a gift in me to prophetically write a beautiful one. So what's the other way to do this?
That's beautiful and so helpful. So helpful because it's easier to write the negative story and it takes more faith to write the positive prophetic story.
Well, it's what Mara did. It's what Naomi changing her name to Mara. She was choosing her to be the darkness of the chapter she was in the moment instead of believing I will see the goodness of God. And by the end, she's like, look how good God's been to me. I got Ruth. It's like, how about 10 minutes ago when you're like complaining, all I got is Ruth. Everything's the worst.
Yeah, we're like, now what are we supposed to call you, ma'am?
Right.
Yeah.
Every time you have a bad day, yo.
Come on.
Cancel the name change.
Yeah, that's right. Go back to the county clerk and get it switched back.
So funny. Okay, so first favorite quote is just finding out that I'm not the only human being who has this weird love for the concept of westward expansion. And you threw it in there like it was this tiny little detail. You were just
I almost brought it up when you were talking about fly fishing in the Rio Grande.
So there you go.
Oh, you guys.
So you just threw it in there. It was like, oh, well, I'm fascinated with westward expansion. And as someone who is enamored with the prospect, I would like to hear, where did that come from?
Wow.
What about it? What particular genre or phase most enamors you?
Yeah, because you're going to have to tell me this stuff too, Levi. So I think it started, I went on a trip in 8th grade to Montana, to Wyoming. And I liked it. I remember learning about Oregon Trail as we were on this trip. And I just thought it was very cool. And ever since then, I've just kind of liked those movies. We grew up watching John Wayne movies. And so kind of grew up watching like cowboy movies. But the older I've gotten, the more I've been like, no, that lights up something in me. What is it? And so, I mean, that's the same thing. Is literally when you ask yourself, why do I like this? You are self-interviewing and learning yourself. So probably 5 years ago, I started going, what? Settle down. What is this? Why do you feel this so much? I just think I love pioneers. I love people who go first and don't know what they're going to get. And westward expansion is repeated stories that are not all good. And there's a
lot of really tough stuff with the Native Americans for sure.
That's right. I'm speaking as a white person, mishandled a lot of things in the history of our country. And that is putting it so lightly that I don't even have a word for it. But the beautiful parts of going to a new place and starting a new homestead. Have y'all watched Hell on Wheels on?
Bohannon. Yeah.
Levi? Sorry. We could do a whole podcast.
Levi just told me
we should.
Before this, he's like, I could just talk with Annie for hours. I'm like, yeah.
We're about to do it.
Yeah.
We're going to talk Colin Bohannon a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that show is it's just one of my favorites because it does show what the cost was.
Have you read the book that was based off of?
No.
Oh,
is it great?
Grief. Nothing Like It in the World, Stephen Ambrose.
I'm writing it down right now. Nothing Like It in the World.
Nothing like it in the world. It's all about the building of the Transcontinental Railroad.
Yes.
And Annie, how do I describe this to you?
Your love for westward expansion?
Well, that book in particular.
Okay.
Well, that one is interesting because it was technically a centerward expansion. There was the railroad started from Omaha going west and the train started at San Francisco going east.
Yes.
And getting through the Sierra Nevadas. I mean, some of the things they had to do, it was the last major thing done by hand. There was no machines really to speak of involved in all of that.
Yes, no, not at all, except when they rolled the train over it to flatten it. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, 21 million strikes of the hammer is how many it took to build that railroad. But that's not my favorite aspect. My favorite is Lewis and Clark. I just cannot even Lewis and Clark.
Really?
And you know what you're saying? All the horrible things that were done, it doesn't make it wrong. I mean, it doesn't make it the wrong right. But it was all with the dream of living towards an ideal that they were not realized yet. the words they were carrying that Thomas Jefferson penned, that he himself was a heinous contradiction in terms of.
Sure.
We're still, I think it shows you that you can have a dream that's not realized yet and move towards it. And I think that's where we're at today. Is that we still have not seen the land with freedom available to everybody, in the same way. And so I think it's possible to have something that you hold up as your ideal, but we're not there yet. That's the whole church.
Yeah. And there is just something in us, in humans, and a lot of humans that I know that they don't maybe light up about westward expansion quite like you and I do, but they light up about the idea of what if we went somewhere no one's ever been before? That's why people love talking about space.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why people love talking about the bottom of the ocean, is because we want to go.
I don't like talking about the bottom of the ocean.
But he does like talking about space.
The bottom of the ocean is too many questions for me today. I have only so much room, so I can handle
space has less questions for you?
Well, I just pick your battles, okay?
Yeah, you're right. Because the bottom of the ocean, that's dark and scary.
I'm not going Mariana. The Mariana Trench is terrifying.
It is beyond. I'm with you.
It's deeper than the Grand Canyon. You could put Mount Everest in there and you wouldn't see the top of it. I don't want to know about that today.
I'm not interested in
Wow.
Maybe in 2027.
Get me through some of this.
But even what you're saying is exactly right. It appeals to the fact that we were created in the image of God, and the Lord is a warrior. That is His name, and we were made in the image of that warrior.
Yeah.
So, but
I need to read more of Lewis and Clark, because I haven't read enough of about
Undaunted
them.
Courage is the book to read.
Got it.
Also by
and
Stephen
even that
Hilbert.
title, isn't that the thing? Like Undaunted Courage. Is there? I understand that there's not a way that I can discover a part of Nashville that doesn't exist. But what can I make, and where can I go that people haven't been able to go before?
Yeah.
Great.
Right? Like, let's go.
And what you're doing in your books and what you're doing in your podcast, even named accidentally, as it were.
That's right.
The other part of it that's interesting is the Dust Bowl. This is the westward expansion gone wrong. Because all of the Dust Bowl came about as a result of this Go West Young Man, the Homestead Act, and then the Enlarged Homestead Act. Lincoln started that, and after the Civil War, and all these farmers going west, but didn't know what they were doing, and so the destruction and 10 years of agony and all that.
I mean, do you ever think about y'all pastoring in a place that westward expansion literally discovered? It was already there. There are already people living there. But this, does that factor into your pastoring? That's like in the soil?
Absolutely.
Well, when you found out Lewis and Clark's, like once they hit Montana and like their trail like went kind of crazy, like all over, like trying to figure out how to get through Montana.
It was smooth sailing until they got to where we live. Then you watch them just look confused and their footprints just go everywhere. And it's like, welcome to our world. Yeah, we resonate with that deeply.
Yeah.
And even the fact that the continental divide's here, and rain that hits the continental divide, some of it will end up in through the water table in the east, and some will end up in the west, and some can end up down in Mexico. And just like, we feel like, oh man, God sent us here for this. And just this prophetic sense of God is sending fresh life east, west, and south and north. And but yes, I mean, those days, that book, I'm jealous for you. I wish I could unread them so I could read them again.
Yes. Okay. Here's my promise to you. I will read both of them this year. I don't know how fast I'll get to both of them, but I'll read both of them in 2021.
And then the third I would point you to is called Astoria. Astoraa. It was immediately after Lewis and Clark. Everyone got a little too feeling their oats because Lewis and Clark went so well that they were like, oh, let's just build this city on the eastern seaboard, on the western seaboard, right up in Oregon. And we're going to have this major fur trade. And nothing went right. Everything went wrong. It was devastating what came about. So what those people endured in Astoria. You probably never heard of Astoria.
No. Do I read it in that order? Undaunted Courage, Astoria, Nothing Like It in the World?
I would read it in exactly that order.
Great. Done.
But what happened in Astoria in Oregon is never really talked about. It was the first major city on the western seaboard. It doesn't exist today, but it was going to be this major metropolis of trade coming and going. They were going to raft everything up to from all the pelts of the beavers and whatnot. And then on the route that they discovered, which was not an all-water route to the Pacific, but they hoped it would be. And then once the pelts got there, they were going to trade them to China, where everyone wanted furs and it was going to create wealth on this Western seaboard. But the series of events that went wrong and what the people endured in Astoria is unbelievable.
And then the things that'll make your mind really spin out is like, that was some of those people's whole lives. That was it.
Yeah.
That's it.
They gave their whole life to building a city that did not survive.
Yeah.
And how to avoid that cautionary tale. Yeah.
Yes. Give your life to something that'll survive past Astoria.
Dang.
All right. Annie F.
Down.
I just adore you. Can I please come out there and us do one of those cold water, get in the ice
Come
things?
on.
Annie, we promise that will happen.
Girls get to do that. Tim does that. Carlos does. Every one of my friends who comes out there, you put them in cold water.
Lisa Harper got
I was about to say, did Lisa do it too?
Yes,
Yeah.
she did it.
Lisa Harper got in there and was strong. And she lost a toenail.
She's
told
her
this
toe.
publicly. She lost a toenail too, didn't she?
But I think she broke
In
it.
think she straight up broke the toe.
Your ice tub?
She broke the toe in the cold plunge.
Hot tub.
It's hot tub, yes. But literally broke her toe, but still got in it. Like I think bleeding still got in the cold plunge.
Doesn't surprise me at all. She's so amazing.
It's not COVID friendly.
Seriously.
She doesn't
Look,
get
no one
stopped.
got sick.
Yeah. It's
chlorine,
what's
it's
done
fine.
is done. What's done is
Yeah.
done.
Look, it is what it is. That woman is my hero. She prayed for us that day, and we were both in tears as she prayed over us. She gave us some visual prophetic pictures of our home.
Yeah.
That woman is a saint in my book.
Same.
Yes. We will know her legacy much longer than she would ever dream.
Yeah.
Even just
It
that
is.
one
She's
prayer.
incredible.
I was like, I'd put Flynn you out here just for that prayer. Is that selfish? Maybe. But we're going to get you out here. We thank you for being on Hey, It's Luskos.
Thank you,
Thanks
Annie.
for having me.
We love you.
I love y'all too. I'm just really thankful to call you friends. Truly, it feels like such an honor to be on the same team.
We love you.
All right. Goodbye. Thank you so much for listening. And be sure to swing by levilusko.com to see what's going on in our world, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. In the meantime, we would love to connect with you on social media. Jenny and Levi Lusko, out.